Xero or QuickBooks, which one is better? A common question, and in this video I'm joined by accountant Kelly as we chat about our thoughts on which one is the best. So, accountant Kelly, we love a bit of Xero and QuickBooks here at Hillian & Associates, so talk me through your favourite first. Which one do you prefer, just out of interest?
I prefer Xero.
Cool, so talk me through the benefits of Xero then.
More user-friendly.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and clients definitely tell us that on a daily basis, don't they, in terms of the setup. I mean, you use the word when we chat, it's cleaner, isn't it, I guess is the best word?
Yep, it is cleaner. It's simpler to use than a lot of other softwares out there.
Yeah, you can see on the screen that there's a little plus button at the top there, and you can drop down and it gives you, just add an invoice, add a bill, add a this and that. It's not difficult to find, is it? Nothing's hidden in there particularly.
No.
In fact, there's only one option they hide behind a menu, and that's something very technical to do with the bank, isn't it? So yes. That's quite good. And if you've never seen Xero or QuickBooks before, we've done some other videos where we talk about, a quick overview of both of them so you can see what they look like. But for now, this is the one versus other, the ultimate battle. So Xero, is simpler and cleaner, and I think we both agree it just looks better. I think part of that's been that it's been the one that's been around in the cloud forever. It never was a desktop product.
Yeah, no, it does. It's not a dark, dingy colour. It's nice and bright, and you can see everything on the screen. Yeah,
definitely. And not only the dinginess, but we talk about the unclutteredness. So for us, I think both of us agree, one of the issues with QuickBooks is that there's so much clutter in one screen. Even a simple invoice has all sorts of data on it, doesn't it?
Yeah, some things you don't even need to know, doesn't need to be there, and it does distract from you trying to actually create an invoice, etc.
Yeah, you can see it on the screen here. We've brought up an invoice and it's got, time and dates of this and that and what you could add to it and all these extra details, but we just don't necessarily need that. And what Xero is quite good at doing is keeping that clean. And I find that as a result, clients do make mistakes with the invoicing because there's too many buttons to remember to click to a degree.
Too many buttons to press.
And in actual fact, I think one of the benefits of QuickBooks is that they have a very good app, don't they? Their apps, I'd say, is probably better than Xero's. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and obviously with the new feature of taking pictures directly from the app now and uploading, that is very good. Yeah. Whereas Xero doesn't actually have that feature.
No, although they have brought out HubDoc, haven't they, as well?
Yes, so, they have.
Which is a snap receipts and import those into Xero. And one of the things that we love about Xero, and both Xero and QuickBooks have this, is there's a lot of there's an app marketplace, isn't there?
Yes, and there are a lot of apps that do integrate with both QuickBooks and Xero, but you do tend to find Xero has that extra few more than QuickBooks does.
Definitely. And some of the integrations work differently as well, depending on who they've been built for. So one, again, throwing the pendulum back towards QuickBooks, one of the cool things they've got is the Go Cardless integration, which is a payment service that allows you to take direct debits. It's actually really, really good with QuickBooks. So we did have a client recently that had problems with it taking multiple direct debits. There's still issues with it, but actually when it works really quite nicely. Whereas the Xero for Go Cardless is a little bit more clunky, but still also works really well. So, and again, sometimes it's personal preference. We talk about this a lot in the accounting world. And when I did some research for this video, we looked and talked to a few accountants about what their pros and cons were, and you'd have probably equal numbers tell you, they've got different favourites depending on.
Yes, there is.
Depending on what goes on, but for us, the big one is, as Kelly said, it's more user friendly for sure, in terms of it being cleaner and simpler, and it's things like the way the bank connects. So if you've never seen the way it works, the bank feed will come in and it will bring all your transactions in every day, and that's nicely laid out on a left and right column look, whereas on QuickBooks, it's kind of like one big list that you then have to go in and sort of match. And it's in different tabs, and for me, it's a little bit more complicated to do. However, there are some other good things. So CIS, the construction industry deductions, if you're in the construction industry, I think internally our bookkeeping team feel that that's better at the moment inside QuickBooks.
Yes, they do. There are a few things that on the CIS side that work more effectively than Xero does, which is always a benefit.
Yeah, and I think that Xero still handles it though very well. Their product was later to the market than the QuickBooks.
Yes, it was. And Xero is catching up with QuickBooks in that sector, but with the CIS, QuickBooks is in the lead.
Definitely. But the app, we mentioned the app, the QuickBooks app's quite nice actually. I quite like that. And normally when we talk to clients about what the best thing to do is with how to use it, I tend to point them quite often to using either a big iPad or actually the computer or a laptop for Xero, just because for me it looks better on there. Is that how you use it?
Yes, totally. Just going back to the CIS, it is a little bit restrictive on the app. So if you were a CIS company, needed to do deductions, then the app for Xero wouldn't necessarily work, and we would need to point you in the desktop version, either on an iPad or a computer.
Yeah, good. And I suppose from a negative point of view than Xero, we've talked about some of the great things that they do generally. Cost has got to be one. It is the most expensive of them in general.
It is the most expensive, whereas QuickBooks, the cost is vastly reduced.
Yeah, and as a result, I think we see a lot of people leaning towards QuickBooks because they did have some very, very aggressive pricing early on, and they still do have some really, really good deals on that.
Yes, they do, but then you need to look at the overall picture. Yes, they are cheaper, but then you need to weigh up the pros and cons and then decide what one would more benefit you and your business.
Yeah, and historically, if we'd been having it, I mean, as we're recording this now, it's 2020. If we'd been having this conversation in 2019, we'd have said, who do you bank with? And that would have probably made the decision because the integration with the banks was different depending on who held it. Now with open banking, it pretty much works with nearly everything, doesn't it?
Yeah, and they are adding to that all the time,
which is great. So that's really good. So regardless of which one you use, both will give you a really good value. I mean, we don't really dislike one or the other, do we? Here,
no. Half the office love QuickBooks, half the office love Xero. We do have the odd sector with Sage, but
yeah, we try and avoid those. But yeah, it is around. And I think that if you did need help, the support's an interesting one, isn't it? Because Xero have a good support, but it's email only. It's very difficult to speak to somebody, whereas we've got full UK support with the QuickBooks.
Yeah, full UK support with QuickBooks. Just pick up the phone, call them, and someone will answer.
Yeah, which is fantastic. And then I suppose from an actual practical use point of view, the biggest thing I found over the years with QuickBooks is it's more prone to stability problems on an iPad or other platforms. Like we joke about resetting your cookies, don't we?
Yeah, you do have to reset your cookies. QuickBooks, when they were just starting on the cloud base, that was a big issue for them. They have sorted it out, but there is the moments where the cookies will stop it from working.
Yeah, definitely. So I think as a result, we quite often, again, if you get frustrated by waiting around or the odd technical problem, at the minute Xero does edge that. But again, they appear to be investing a lot of money in improving this constantly. So there's no reason to think that'll continue. But as we're recording this, that is a bit of an issue. And from our point of view, we get quite frustrated because it can be quite clunky to move a QuickBooks to another accountant, can't it? In full, depending how it's set up.
There are specific steps you need to take if you do move accountants using QuickBooks. If you don't take them, it is a nightmare to get it back to how it was. Yeah,
or somebody, as in like we found out recently, you end up paying quite a few quid.
You do end up, yes, yeah. Personal experience, it is not as straightforward as it normally should be.
No, so there you go. So if you are moving accountants, definitely have a chat to your accountant about that. It's easy to get them access, for sure. That's not very difficult. It's actually moving it if the other accountant owns the license and that kind of stuff. So again, small technical things, but again with Xero, you don't have that problem. It's pretty straightforward. And of course, I suppose one other final negative, as it were, a minor one towards Xero, is that some things are more difficult to adjust, aren't they? So
yes. As in, if you needed to change the date on an invoice, but it's already got a payment, you have to delete it, and there's a few other steps you need to make just to amend the date. Whereas QuickBooks, it is so straightforward.
So I think overall, you and I are both in agreement, and certainly are if we surveyed the team. So we've got a large team here who use them all day long, and some of their competitors. And I think the majority of us, the vote would definitely go with Xero. However, QuickBooks isn't a bad product. I don't think any of the cloud products are particularly bad. It's just that for all the reasons we've mentioned, Xero edges it at this current time and is worth that extra money, I think. And I think what's really interesting as well is you might hear a lot of accountants saying this as well, Xero's the way forward. And that leads you to think, well, maybe we're invested in some way and we get some discount. And yes, accountants, depending on how many clients they have on it, do get a discount when they supply it. But what we'll say is it's very, very minor on Xero. With QuickBooks, it's a fantastic deal they get on them. So it should actually surprise you, I suppose, that accountants are as keen as they are on Xero when QuickBooks potentially actually generates some income for accountants. So it's certainly not a biased viewpoint from a cost perspective that you'll hear accountants talking about Xero. I think it's just generally that clients have, and certainly in our experience, clients have a vastly easier time using Xero.
Yes. Yeah, as we've said before, once looking at both products, they do feel that Xero is more user-friendly.
Definitely. Well, there we go. That was accountant Kelly and I chatting about our thoughts in 2020 on where we are with QuickBooks or Xero. Both are great products, but really at the minute we feel Xero is just edging it. If you've enjoyed this video, please do share it with your networks and comment below on your own experiences with either one. We'd love to hear from you. Of course, if you want to make the transition into one of these cloud products and you need any help at all setting it up, please do get in touch. We'd love to help you. We'll see you on the next one.